Hey guys, what's up? So today we're going to talk about CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the web page that we did with our introduction to HTML, and I'm just going to expand upon that by integrating some CSS and styling it up a little bit. So this is the same exact website that we did before. I want you to recall that I did mention when we were talking about the HTML tags that there are some HTML tags that you can use to actually add style to this without CSS. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and open up my markup here, and I'm going to put a B tag surrounding this paragraph here. And just by putting that in there, I've changed the way this paragraph looks. So this is an example of actually what not to do. By doing this, we're kind of mixing concerns between the two layers of the front end. So you don't want to concern the HTML with what it looks like. You just want the HTML to be concerned with what is there, the structure of the objects that are being looked at. And CSS's job is really to take care of what these things look like. So today we're going to be talking about how to get started with the very basics of that. I just wanted to mention, if you notice that you're doing any styling in HTML, then you're probably doing something wrong, and there's probably a better way to do it in CSS. So just to get started, I'm going to close this down here so you can see the directory again. So I have two files in here, just the picture of flow and the HTML file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by creating a new file, and this is going to be my CSS file. So I'm going to just go ahead and save it. Save it right in here with everything else. I'm going to call it styles.css. So there's my third file that I added. There's nothing in it yet. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a class. A class is just defining a simple style. I can call it anything I want. I can call it blah. That's how you start off creating a class. You put a dot and then the name and then a begin and an end. So this open bracket, curly bracket is the begin, and that is the end. So I'm going to go ahead and name this standard paragraph because you want to give the names of your CSS classes conceptual names of things that are on the screen. So there might be a standard paragraph on my screen, there might be a big header, there might be a main image. You want to name your CSS classes after things that are on the screen. You don't want them to describe colors or sizes or shapes. For example, I wouldn't want to name this blue paragraph because inside of here I'm going to be putting all kinds of details about what this class actually means. And if I go ahead and if I put the color blue in there, I might change my mind a year down the road what I want the details of this style to consist of, and there I might change the color of the text from blue to red. At that point, maybe 1,000 people are using this class in their HTML, and all of a sudden the blue paragraph, even though it's called blue paragraph, is no longer blue. So it's not good to commit to details of the color or size or the way it looks. You really want to keep the name conceptual, or else you're going to be painting yourself into a corner and you're going to be stuck later on with style that really doesn't have a good name. So that's a pretty important point at the beginning. Just focusing on the syntax of styles, classes, you'll notice the dot in front of the name. That's actually really important because if I was to do like this, so the difference between these two elements in my CSS file is that without a dot in front of it, I am trying to select a type of element in the HTML. Now we know that there is a certain type of element in HTML called P, which kind of means paragraph, and by naming this CSS element P, I'm performing what's called a selection. So this is actually a selector. And what I'm saying here is all the styles that I put inside of here, I want to apply that to every paragraph you can find. That's very different than this one down here. This one is creating a class. It's not really a selector, it's a class, where I'm saying It's still basically selecting something, but I'm saying I only want you to find things named blue paragraph. So you actually have to have more than just a quality of being a certain type of element. You also have to literally go in there and say, hey, this element has the blue paragraph style on it. So just to exemplify both of these, up here I'm going to say color red. And oops, I'm going to change this name back to standard. I'm going to call this color blue. So these are just going to kind of be a sanity check just to prove how the styles work at the very beginning so that we can go into this in more detail. So we're ready to actually put these to use in our HTML file. But obviously if we open it up, nothing happens because our HTML file does not know anything about this file. So we have to link the two up. We have to link this file up to this style sheet. It's really easy to do that. Just come in here, open with Notepad. All you do is you go into your head element and you add a link. Now you need three properties on this link. You need a rel, you need a link, or a type, sorry, and an href. Oopsie. So rel is always a style sheet, and type is always text CSS, and href is the only thing you're going to really have to think about. That's the name of your file. So since that's what we named our file, that's what we put as for the value of href, and that should go ahead and link up the two. So now our HTML file should have visibility to what we wrote in here, and basically it's going to kind of look at this whole document and say, okay, I'm going to go through every single paragraph and color and make sure the text color is red. And I'm going to go through and look at every element, and if any of the elements have standard paragraph on them, I'm going to color those blue. Well, let's go ahead and give one of these standard paragraph. Let's see, which one should I do? How about this TD right here? Class equals standard paragraph. So what I've done here is anytime you say class equals, that's how you link a particular element. You're basically naming, you're giving a style, a named style to an element. So this TD element now possesses the style standard paragraph. So if I come back here and I refresh the screen, I notice all the P's turned red because I used the P selector and gave it a color of red. And oh, what's happened down here? Oh, I was looking in the wrong place. Internet quoting. So the TD that I selected and marked for blue text did get affected. So now that we kind of understand the difference between an element, basically an element type selector, and an element with a name selector. So remember, always remember that dot means I'm talking about a class name. That's the most important thing to remember, class name. No dot means you're talking about an element with that name. So back here, just once more to double down on it, this is an element named P, and this is an element named TD, but with the class standard paragraph. So that's the difference between a dot selector and a normal selector. So what I really want to do here is I want to put some styles on here that look kind of nice. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you know what, every P, put this back to black, and actually you can use hexadecimal notation here, so RGB, FF is a 255 value, so each color is 0 to 255, so this is a full black, R, G, and B, 255, 255, 255. Oops, black would be 0, 0, 0, 0, wouldn't it? 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. That's black. All Fs would be white. And then I'm going to say font family, and this is like the font that you want to use, Verdana or Arial, and I like to use Calibri. And let's style these headers too. Let's say H1 is font family Cambria. So notice my text kind of looks a little bit better, I think. Oh, still got that blue down there. I want to get rid of that. Alright, so I think what I want to do here is stop for a couple of seconds and show you a trick that you can do with Google Chrome. I really strongly urge you to use Google Chrome when you're developing websites for this reason alone. Google Chrome has awesome web developer tools that you can use to play around with this right here in the middle of the browser without having to keep going back and changing your code and refreshing the screen. That's a real pain. So I'm going to show you how to do this in Google Chrome. Instead of right-clicking in the middle of the screen, instead of clicking View Page Source, I want you to go ahead and try to click Inspect Element. So this is really, really useful. Notice that the screen now is split into two sections. The top section is just what we're viewing, and the bottom section now shows an expandable view of all of the HTML. So this is really, really nice because as I kind of mouse over these, it'll show me which element refers to which part on the screen. Not only that, but it shows me all the CSS properties that are being applied to those elements, and it shows me some geometry of how all of the visuals are being calculated. This is going to be really, really crucial and indispensable going forward. I honestly don't know how people do this without Google Chrome, so I would do it if I were you. So this little magnifying glass here is really useful because I can click that, and then I can come up here and say, I'm interested in looking at this, and it'll take me right to the thing that I had clicked. Or if I say I'm interested in this, notice it'll change to the thing that I clicked on, this paragraph. Not only that, but I can actually change this stuff right here. Now this is not actually changing the file, this is literally just changing what's in memory in the browser. So I can make any changes I want here, and I'm not going to mess anything up. Look, I can even delete stuff. I can remove this node. Where is it? Delete node, greetings, delete node, Don Santos, delete node, everyone calls me Donnie. So I'm just like messing with the markup right in the middle of the browser. So let's say I select this one, that paragraph right there. I can come right here and I can say color lime. It changes it right there. Blue, red, purple. So I have a lot of fun with this. It makes it really easy to debug things. It also is really good because it shows you complete lists of all the stuff that you can do. So let me think of a good one that didn't really talk about too much yet. Let's see if it shows me anything for color. Yeah, so even if I just type in color, it gives me this big list of all these different colors that I can select from. So you got some like IntelliSense action there. So that's pretty cool. It's actually more than cool. It's really, really useful. So that's kind of just the beginning of how to do a selector, how to do a class, and how to just apply it to some basic elements. Since this video is getting a little long, I'm just going to cut it here and then continue on with the next one. So I'll see you in a couple seconds.